Hello, Fantasy Leaguers. I am your host, Cody Gregory, and I want to say thank you first for tuning in on our very first episode of Cody's Fantasy Corner. The premise of this show is just to give you some insight of the upcoming week on players you should add and drop, and maybe later in the future. Now, keep in mind the format that I base all my analysis off of is just based on a 10-team standard league. I mean, you can adjust it accordingly depending on what you have. Now, let's get to it. I have two segments I want to talk about. I would like to cover the first one, which is the add 'em, drop 'em. That'll just cover, RBs, wide receivers, tight ends, and so on. About the guys that are less than 69% owned are the guys you want to add because they're probably on your waiver wire, and the guys that are 70% owned or higher, those are the guys that I'm looking to drop because they're too owned and they honestly should be on your waiver wire because they're not performing well. So let's get to the add-ons. The first one is going to be Bilal Powell. He's 44.6% owned in ESPN leagues. Now, the reason I pick him is just because, he's going to be the back that's going to be getting the most production, receiving. And if, Forte goes down, which we've seen it happen with other, backs like Arian Foster, he's going to be a lottery ticket for you. Next guy I want to talk about is Dennis Pitta. This guy is, he's doing really well, but his numbers don't show it because he doesn't have he has no touchdowns, actually. He's third in targets, and he's fifth in, total yards. So, if you're looking for a streaming tight end or even a tight end that, you can throw out there every week, I think Dennis Pitta would be to your advantage. Next guy is Cole Beasley. He's 42% owned right now. He's Dak Prescott's favorite target, in my opinion. He's always throwing him the short slant routes, and, he's averaging like 9 to 10 points for you in a lot of formats. So I think that, that would be an advantage for you to throw him in there, as a flex if you were thinking about it. So now we're going to go to the drop-ems. I got 3 of them for you. D'Angelo Williams, I know he's been doing well, but Le'Veon Bell's back. He was only on the field for 11 of 77 snaps. I don't think he's necessary unless you actually have Le'Veon Bell. So it just depends. As for Golden Tate, he probably got that look when you draft him because he hasn't been performing for you. You got your arms out wide, and you're like, why are you dropping the ball? Why aren't you catching the ball? Well, he's not the number one target anymore. You got Anquan Bolden and obviously Marvin Jones Jr., so you got to drop him. He's just not performing. He's not worth it to be on your bench. Next guy is going to be Eli Manning. Honestly, that look is probably as good as it gets for the way your fantasy team's been performing if you've had him starting. Because, in all reality, he hasn't done anything. He's put up 9, 8, 14 in the last 3 weeks. There's plenty of other guys that you can ship out there. My last segment is a little different. I created. It's called Radar Alert, between Red Alert and keeping guys on your radar. There's 3 guys I will go through pretty quickly here. Dion Lewis, 19% owned. Brady's back. He loves him, and last year he was performing to the highest of his ability before he went down with that injury. And then Donte Moncrief, he's already in his 4th week off injury, and he should be coming back soon, especially week 9, where there's a lot of high quality wide receivers that are going to be on bye, like AJ Green and Julian Edelman. So keep him in mind. And also Tony Romo. I think Tony Romo honestly should be owned at some point because last year he was a top 10 tight end or quarterback. He's a top 10 quarterback, and I think that, regardless of how you think about him, he's not a good football player, whatever, he's going to perform for you, better than the other guys that you've been starting, like Joe Flacco and Brian Hoyer. But I just want to say thank you. This was our very first episode, and, if, you have any questions, I have a Twitter account. Is the AUCFC. You can ask me any questions throughout the week, and I'll try to give you my best analysis. But as for us at AU Spartan Media, I really appreciate your time, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. Thank you.